Hello and welcome to this very first game in the tournament league, Fantasia Fanatic Quarantine Edition 4. First out, we have a stormcast player, Alexis, facing off with the ogres. And before we begin with the actual stream, we're gonna take a look at the lists. So, first up, we have the ogres. It is a Gutbuster list running the Blood Gullet sub-faction. So basically all his casters, or well, all his butchers and slaughtermasters are gonna have 2 spells each and be able to cast 2 spells each. His strategy is hold the line, so he needs surviving battle line, and his triumph is indomitable, so he can basically ignore a battle shock. For his general, he has a slaughtermaster with nice drop of the red stuff, and that's the ability that gives everything within 12 inches plus 3 to their pile-in, so it's basically 3 plus 3, so not a 6-inch pile-in, so you still have to be within 3 of something to pile in. He has the splatter cleaver, so as soon as he deals damage, he gets to heal all ogres within a certain distance. Fresh Craver Curse, d6 mortal wounds, but your target gets +1 attack. Good for clearing stuff that usually doesn't want to fight in combat. Greasy Deluge, which is a -1 to hit on a targeted unit. Then he has a Firebelly with Billowing Ash, and that's an aura effect that's 12 inches long and gives everything within that aura -1 to hit. So these are basically two things he can do to stack that minus the hit, which was a lot more potent in the previous edition, but still quite good to be honest. He's running a Tyrant with the big name Fate Seeker, so he gets a 3-up armor save, which means he can probably armor stack it quite nicely with +1 down to 2-up armor save, and then if you manage to get like a, say, Mystic Shield off or something, he's also able to bring it down to 2-up and reducing all rend by 1. Final character is a Butcher with a Cleaver, which is the AP2 variant with less damage, probably a good choice in this edition. His artifact is the Arcane Tome, so he can cast an additional spell. He has Blood Feast and Rib Cracker, and that additional spell will allow him to cast that really good mortal wound spells that the ogre has, like the Warpel Maw or Malicious Maw. It's changed name so much throughout the editions I can't remember. Anyways, what it does is it deals D3 mortal wounds. You roll a dice. On a 4-up, you deal D3 more. On a 4-up, you deal a D3 more. And it continues until you don't roll a 4-up. So, I've seen this thing just wipe a monster off the board if you're really lucky. But on the other hand, you can also just deal 1 mortal wound with it, and then it stops. Bloodfeast +1 attack, and Rib Cracker is -1 save on the targeted unit. So this is definitely the character I believe that the Stormcast player will want to snipe in order to bring their ogre efficiency down a lot. He has 2 units of 6 Gluttons with paired clubs and blades. These guys took a well, they are not as potent as they used to be in the previous edition, as they have no rend. And I think we're gonna see them do basically nothing in this matchup with the armor stacking Stormcast list that I'm gonna run through in a second. The Death Star of Death Stars, 12 Iron Guts. If you throw all your buffs like Spine Marrow from the Slaughtermaster, which is +1 to hit, and make them pile 3 inches extra, and give them +1 attack, and reduce the save of their target, and they will just devastate anything they get into combat with. However, they only are at rand 1 if they don't have any buffs, and they aren't really that good to deal with armor, especially in an armor stacking list that he's gonna face in this one. Let's see, and then he finishes the list off with 4 Lead Belchers. He's running the Battle Regiment and the Warlord, and picked an extra artifact from his Warlord. Over to the Stormcast list. Stormcast list is run by Alexis Herbeck, his name is. He's running without a sub-faction, which will allow him to take Staunch Defender, which is basically that he gets +1 save, I think, if he hasn't charged or something along those lines. His grand strategy is also Hold the Line, which is that you have to kill all his battle line. And for leaders, he has Indrasta the Celestial Spear, at a 3-up armor save and a 4-up negate. She, like, if you stack her for armor, she goes down to a 2-up, and then like 2-up ignore save, so she becomes incredibly tanky. Her anti-monster abilities won't really come into play in this matchup, which is a bit sad, but I still think she's quite potent. What she also does is that she resurrects, I believe, like one model to 3 different Stormcast units every turn. So she can bring back like Annihilators and Evocators and Vindictors, so it's a really good ability. So if you want to start killing stuff in the Stormcast army, make sure it's dead so they don't start to respawn. He has a Lord Imperatant with the Staunch Defender, the command trait, Amulet of Destiny, which is a 5-up negate. What this guy does mainly is that you can deep strike stuff within just outside of 7 inches rather than 9 inches for 1 unit per turn, I believe, which is going to be super important if he wants to like get off all those deep strike charges, especially with, for example, Annihilators that has the Ogre charge, which deals mortal wounds as impact hits. And the final character is a Knight Heraldar with the Arcane Tome and Levitate. This, Levitate allows you to like charge over screens and such. It basically gives a unit fly, so I guess it's a good spell. The Arcane Tome makes him a magician, obviously, and the Knight Heraldar is the one with the trumpet who can like shake terrain pieces in order to deal D3 mortal wounds for everything inside the terrain piece or near the terrain piece, as well as giving a Stormcast unit run, retreat, and charge, which is such a good ability. I think like not being locked in combat at all is so good. So a tech here would be to put Levitate on a unit that's screened in. They just run over the unit that is like keeping them in combat and then charge something else. So, as I said, crazy good ability, especially if you combine it with the Annihilators, I believe. Speaking of the Annihilators, the 2-up save voice in Hunters of the Heartland. Hunters of the Heartland won't do anything since there's basically no monsters in Mikael's army. But these guys, they have a mortal wounds when they deep strike, mortal wounds when they charge, and are super tanky at their 2-up save. So as long as they're close to the Lord Imperatant, they will be at like 2-up save and reducing all save by 1, with potentially also an all-out defense, reducing all save like rend by 2. So these will be incredibly hard for the Ogre player to deal with. 10 Evocators with 5 ground staves. So this is basically because he wants to fight with them in 2 ranks. So he has the swords up front and the ground staves in the back, so he can reach over the front row of Evocators with the range 2 ground staves. He has Celestial Blades on the Evocators, which is +1 to wound. I believe they already have a spell called Empower built in that's reroll to wound, so maybe would have picked another spell. Who knows? 2 units of Vindictors, which is the new Stormcast lads, 3+ save. They deal more mortal wounds when they die, and they deal mortal wounds on 6s and hit on 3-up, wound on 3-up, rend 1, damage 1. Super solid for a 10-man unit at 280 points. 5 liberators to round out his battle line and like keep back objectives, etc. Also, this is a good unit for hold the line that you can basically just put them in a corner, not really think much about them, and they'll just survive until the end of the round. And then 3 threes of Aether Wings. Those are the birds, which are super good to like just grab objectives and move around and stand in the way, etc. So it's quite a solid list. I'm excited to see how this pans out, and well, mainly if the Ogres can manage to crack this quite armor stacky Stormcast list. Let's get to it. Well, hello and welcome to this first game at the Fantasia North Quarantine for Age of Sigmar. This first game we have Stormcast facing off with Ogres, and it's Mikael playing Ogres and Alexis playing his Stormcast. So I'm gonna tell our players now we're ready to start playing, and well, let's start. I believe that the Ogres won the first turn priority since they had less drops. Ogres picks to take the first turn. As we can see with his list, he has his Evocators dropped in the midfield there, up on the like big stone pillar on the right side, with a few Aether Rings out on the board, as well as a bunch of characters behind it. I believe Indrasta is out, the Lord Imperatant is out, and the Heraldar is out. He also has a bunch of Liberators on the top left objective. The Ogre player, on the other hand, has his Lead Belchers down on his lower left objective, a bunch of Gluttons there in the middle on the pool of blood, a bunch of Gluttons on like in front of the Mawpot with his Casters and his Tyrant, the Slaughter Master on the right side of the Mawpot, as well as the Iron Guts down on his rightmost objective. So he's casting Bellowing Ash, Snake Eyes, so he does have Perils. He starts out with a Fire Belly, taking 3 mortal wounds. As I said prior, this Ogre list really can stack a lot of minus to hit, and Bellowing Ash is one of the big ones. The Butcher will attempt to cast Blood Feast on the Iron Guts. It's casted on a 7. Another perils, I believe. So D3 mortals and 3 mortals. So 6 mortals in total to his own army now in the 0 phase. Let's see if he can do the hat trick and also do that on his Slaughtermaster. The ogre is running Blood Gullet, so he gets to cast 2 spells and knows 2 spells. And he casts Mystic Shield on the Iron Guts. It goes through on a double 6, so a 13. So I don't think the Stormcast player can even dispel that. He doesn't take damage from the ogre cast spell thingy. Yeah, so he'll basically heal one of those 3 wounds that he took. That Iron Gut unit will really be a big one for this. It's a total of 12 Iron Guts, so it's a bunch basically. 12 times 4, that's 48 wounds to deal with at a 4-up save and quite some potent melee profile. He's using the Cauldron to heal and heals, I believe, 1 wound from both the Firebelly and the Butcher. He's gonna dig in the Cauldron with the Slaughtermaster. Let's see what buff he gets. He probably wants to get a Spine Marrow, that is a +1 to hit on that Iron Gut block and just march them up the board. He rolls the deal mortal wounds within 7 on an enemy, and since this is the first turn, he doesn't have anything, so onto movement. He's gonna start out with removing the lead butchers. Just get there more in the center of the objective, so the Stormcast player won't be able to deep strike on that leftmost bottom objective. Gluttons will move 8. Maybe should have done a run move there, I don't know. But yeah, maybe he's content with 8 inches movement. He gets onto the objective and takes a quite passive first turn, I believe. The Iron Guts will run. Yeah, they just shimmy forward to quote the ogre player. He went for the battle tactic, where you have to run 3 units close to each other, by the way. So that's going to be the ogre unit of ogre gluttons, the ogre Iron Gut unit, and the tyrant. So he succeeded with his first battle tactic. He's going to take a quite passive first turn. Not sure why he took the first turn, to be honest. Since he could just have deployed on his objectives and had a Stormcast player have to take the first turn and eventually dedicate some resources with his deep strike, and maybe, like, he hasn't even moved on to the center objective. He scores 2 points from the battle tactic. Why didn't he nudge on to the center objective? I don't get it. Well, who knows? Maybe he wants to bunker up there around his cauldron, but I feel that he could have used like 1 ogre glutton just to nudge the center objectives to score that extra point. His Stormcast player is casting Mystic Shield on with his Heraldor. The Stormcast is running Arcane Tome on the Heraldor, so that's why you can cast extra. The Butcher will deny with +1 from the Cauldron. So at 10, he manages to dispel the Mystic Shield, which is part of the like armor stack the Stormcast player is trying to build, I believe. Another deny. The Stormcast player rolled a 9 for the Evocators, I believe. The Ogre did not manage to dispel it. So the Stormcast players, as I said earlier in the list run, English hard, the list rundown, the Stormcast player has a lot of ways to stack armor, both through Staunch Defender, All Out Defense, as well as Mystic Shield, and well, even standing in terrain, and a lot of units on really good save. He has 2 large units of Vindictors at 3-up saves, small units of Annihilators at 2-up save, Indrasta at 3-up save. So a lot of his stuff will be at like 2-up save with ignoring up to Rend 1. So if the Ogre player doesn't manage to either dispel those armor stacks or get through a rib cracker somewhere and have the Iron Guts really just demolish a unit, it's gonna be bad times to be able to try and kill the Stormcast. Movement phase. He's using a 6 run move for the birds with Vanguard, I believe. Oh, he's moving them up. I believe is he trying to block off the... Also, I didn't hear if he picked the battle tactic. So apparently he did pick aggressive expansion as well. Moving up the evocators to a more midfield position, I believe. And he needs 2 units within 3 inches of each other and within 3 of that evocator unit to score his aggressive expansion. He's running the evocator unit so that he has swords up in the front and ground staves in the back. I maybe would screen those characters a bit. Yeah, he's moving around the evocators to it. But yeah, if he hadn't screened up those characters a bit better, I believe like that glutton unit in the middle, if they got a good charge, could just go in and kill off the 2 characters and lock the evocators in combat. Which would have been a quite sad start for the Stormcast. Oh yeah, there he's moving Indrasta forward, and Indrasta is really a tank with a 3-up save and negate on that. If she, well, I believe she gets Staunch Defender now from the Lord Imperatant, as well as being able to cast all-out defense on herself for a command point. So basically those Ogre Gluttons will do no damage at all to her. And now it's the Stormcast end of movement Deep Strike. He's putting up birds on the center objective to tag it for 1 extra point, but I believe he tagged it with both the Evocators and Rust as well, so I guess it's an extra screen, so he doesn't have to deal with those Gluttons just yet. Seems wise. Is he gonna Deep Strike something else is the big question. He has Annihilators and both his units of Winged Dictors in Deep Strike as well. So he's considering to, well, I guess he could try and use a lot of Deep Strike on the leftmost flank for him and take that bottom objective. There's not that much Ogre resources on it comparatively to the right objective where you have this large unit of Iron Guts. If he would be able to clear a bunch of the Gluttons as well as a bunch of the Lead Belchers and get like the big Vindictor unit in on the objective, he could actually take that objective from the Ogres, denying him a double score for the next phase. Yeah, so we're playing Power Struggle, and what's special about this scenario is that you score objectives by holding objectives for 2 turns in a row. So if you lose an objective between turns, you're not going to score it. He's doing the Deep Strike with Annihilator's Mortal Wounds now. So 3 wounds on each of the Ogre units. It would have been cool if he had just plonked them down in the middle of the caster group. Yeah. And since this is a setup and not a move, and he's within 7, the Ogre player won't be able to do a redeploy. And looks like he's dropping a large unit of Vindictors now, I believe. Yeah, it's one of his Vindictor units who still has 1 Vindictor unit and a bunch of birds left in Deep Strike. Yes, he's placing in them so we can't see through the woods, but that's not a rule anymore. So I'm gonna go out and correct them, so be right back. Okay, I'm back. It's shooting phase, I believe. He's shooting with something. 2 saves with run 1. Is it Indrasta throwing her spear, maybe? This is why you need a table boss at the board while playing, ladies and gentlemen. So short rolls. He's rerolling them. So Annihilator's rolling. They need a 7 to get in. 11 inches. And with the Ogre charge, he gets to roll 11 dice, and each 4-up is a mortal wound. So this is quite a bit of damage getting in on whatever unit he decides. I would probably pick the Lead Belchers as they are fighting with Rend 1, where the Gluttons don't have Rend at all. And that's 11 die, 4-up, deals mortal wounds. Yeah, he's picking the Lead Belchers. It's wise. So 6 mortal wounds. That's 2 dead Ogres, I believe, since 1 had already taken damage. So 2 dead Ogres and 1 takes 1 damage. Using a command point for Unleash Hell. So 2d3 shots with the Lead Belchers. So 4 shots at -1 to hit. So 5 ups to hit. He should hit maybe 1 or 2. Oh, 3 hits. That's above average, I guess. 3 up to wound. So 3 wounds. So 1 damage on the Annihilators. I'm not sure if I would have used that command point, to be honest. Because, I mean, it's only 2 lead belchers to use in the Overwatch, and command points is quite nice for... Or maybe it still had a shitload. Who knows? The Stormcast elects to use all-out attack. The Ogre player elects to use all-out defense on his Gluttons. So they go to a 4-up save instead of a 5-up. So 3 saves, run 1 from the Annihilators on the Gluttons. So 6 damage in total. So that's 2 dead Ogres, I believe, for the damage they suffered from before. And on the Lead Belchers, looks like 5 hits. And 3 rend 1 from the Annihilators on the very damaged Lead Belchers. So the Lead Belchers survived. Let's see, the Stormcast player has 3 Annihilators on that objective, but the Ogre player has 4 Ogres. And the Ogres are, since Mighty Mage's right here is a thing, or it's Might Make rights for the Ogre, so each Ogre is worth 2 bodies on an objective. Incredibly good rule. 3 Gluttons will hit the Annihilators. They don't have any rend at all, so the Annihilators will probably tank this one quite easily. Maybe 2 wounds or so. Yeah, the Ogre Gluttons really took a hit in this edition. Since they both increased in points a lot, they can't take their 12-man reduced price unit, and everything can stack armor so high, so having no rend really sucks for them. So 1 Annihilator dies. 2 saves from the Gluttony Bites, or whatever it's called. The Annihilator tanks it. And the Lone Lead Belcher. This guy is striking at rend 1, so he's a bit better at killing stuff. All-out attack on the Lone Lead Belcher. 2 hits on the Lead Belcher. And 3 up to wound. Looks like a double 2, so no wounds from the Lead Belcher. And a Bite attack, 2 up. So 1 wound from the Bite, which the Annihilator saves. Battle Shock. Yeah, so at Bravery 8, 1 Lead Belcher will run if he rolls a 6. He rolls a 5, so he is still on the board. And the Gluttons. And the Gluttons can't fail their Bravery. Yeah, so the Stormcast scores his battle tactic, as well as he is holding more objectives than the Ogre. So, initiative for turn 2, the Stormcast player wins. I think he's going to elect to take the turn, but he's considering what will happen if the Ogre player gets the turn. This is also really showing that the Stormcast player has thought a lot about the game. He's a lot of new players would just grab the turn whenever you get it and try to use it as good as possible. But actually being able to play without the risk of getting double turned is almost as valuable as getting a really devastating double turn. Yeah, the Stormcast player elected to take it. I believe he's in a good position to really exploit the turn and do a lot of damage to the Ogres and grab their objectives. He will also be able to push the Ogres off that leftmost objective, so they won't be able to score the score 2, putting him in a quite decisive lead and letting him take like everything except the rightmost lower corner of the board. So yeah, this is gonna be a good one. Oh no, the Tyrant takes the finest hour. Yeah, the Stormcast player wonders in disbelief why he would use finest hour on his Tyrant. Maybe he has a plan. You have to remember that the Ogre player is able to pile in 6 inches with nice drop of the red stuff as a command trait. So the Tyrant could actually pile in with his +1 to wound then, if something would elect to charge the Gluttons and the Iron Guts. Celestial Blades rolled a 9, so it's true. The Ogre player is gonna try to dispel. The Celestial Blades goes through, and Mystic Shield. He rolls a 10. The Slaughter Martyr will attempt to dispel. He fails. So both Celestial Blades and Mystic Shield goes through for the Stormcast player. So those Evocators are at a 3-up save. And +1 to wound, so they should be at like 3 up with 2+ to wound. I'm not sure if I would have taken the Celestial Blades for the Evocators, as they have a built-in spell like Empower something that is able to give them reroll to wound. But I mean, either or is fine. He elects to take Conquer on the leftmost objective, which looks like a easy grab with that big unit of Vindictors that close up. Interesting that like neither player brought any monsters. I mean, sure, it's an extra point for your opponent, but you're able to score so many extra points through both, the. Oh, he's removing the trees. Yeah, they are made to remove, so yeah, he can remove the trees. Yeah, it's weird that neither player has selected to bring a monster in this edition, as you can score a lot of extra points with them and like use monsters' command ability, not command abilities, monsters' abilities and such, as well as monsters being usually quite potent. But I guess that at least the Stormcast player, until we see the rules for the new dragons, don't really have that many potent monsters. While the Ogre player still has like Frostlord on Stonehorn, which is quite possibly one of the better monsters in the game right now. I wonder if Bundu Whalebiter would be a thing for Stormcast. He feels like such a good Gargant. So Indrasta is gonna move up as well. I bet he wants to get her close enough to be able to start healing those Annihilators so they don't get wiped out. Yeah, this is really well played from the Stormcast player, with him screening off that side of the board with birds and then having Indrasta and the Vindictors just go and grab that bottom objective. He really has control of the board at the moment. Yeah, and then he's gonna really secure that center objective. Although he's placed so if the Ogres would manage to charge, he can still pile onto that objective. And remember, might makes right, makes Ogres able to just swarm objectives, with each one of them being worth 2 when it comes to how many bodies they're worth on an objective. So maybe I would have deployed more birds closer to the center objective so we can really screen it off. Although he will be grabbing the lower objective, he has his own objectives, so it doesn't really matter if he loses the center objective, since he will still have 3 and the Ogre player will only have 2. So maybe it's a bait to get the Ogre player to dedicate on the birds in the middle. Then he gets the turn and has the Evocators kill them. Although if the Ogre player gets a double turn and they have managed to clear the birds, they will be able to just waste those Evocators. And remember, with how Ogres works, they also deal quite a bit of impact hits on the charge. And that combined with nice drop of the red stuff for that extra 3-inch pile-in means that if he actually manages to charge a lot of stuff into the birds, kill them with mortal wounds, and then being able to pile into the Evocators behind them. And the Evocators are only a 3-up save at the moment, so if the Iron Guts goes in and starts hitting them with Ribcracker and Rend 1, they will take quite a beating. But I believe somebody somewhere said that it doesn't matter how expensive the unit is, everything is chaff. Shooting, D6 shots. 3-up. Stormcast army doesn't have the most impressive of shooting phases. The Heraldor deals 1 mortal wound to the Gluttons. The Vindictors are gonna charge. More than 3, I guess. So 7 in charge, yeah, he's in, and he's gonna grab that objective. Yeah, Vindictors feels like such a good unit. Range 2, explode when they die, and have like Thunderstrike armor, so they explode a bit harder than a regular Stormcast, as well as having mortal wounds on 6s to hit, 3-up save, and a lot of ways to stack them down to 2-up, and all for just 280 points. Feels like a super solid pick. And he's gonna charge Indrasta into the Gluttons, I believe. He's asking how dangerous the Tyrant is, and decently dangerous. When I played my Tyrant, he's always whiffed or been a god, like he's killed a Gargant by himself, but on the other hand, he failed to go in and like kill a 5 wounds buff character once, so hit or miss. But yeah, like going in, locking up the Gluttons in combat, although that means if Mikael is smart, he will be able to pile the Gluttons into the birds and clear them, while Indrasta is only like stuck on one edge. I don't know if I would do that charge, to be honest. So yeah, like bring Indrasta into the leftmost objective instead would be better, I think. Oh yeah, he doesn't charge Indrasta. Yeah, I think that is the right decision. He picks the Vindictors first, and they strike in 2 ranks with their range 2. He makes sure to pile all of them onto the objective, which is also the right call. The Ogres currently have 10 models on the board, on the objective. So He needs to kill at least one and not anyone of his own. Well, no, he has 13 on the objective with those. No, 12 on the objective with the Annihilator. So yeah, unless something really weird happens now, he's gonna grab that objectives from the Ogre and score his battle tactic. He's using his free all-out attack on the Vindictor unit. So only 3 hits with the Vindictors. 2 and 1. So 2 damage. So 1 damage on the Lead Belcher. He's rolling the prime attack. And it fails the wound. So yeah, they didn't kill the Lead Belcher. That's quite disappointing. So 10 attacks on the Gluttons now. Let's see if he doesn't roll that many once. So that's 3 mortals so far. And 1 save. So 4 damage. That's 1 dead ogre. And 2 wounds on another guy. Mikael's gonna pick his Gluttons. All out attack on the Gluttons. Let's see how Alexis strikes. I would just put all of them into the Vindictors. Oh, he's selecting to strike all of it into the Annihilators. Well, they have a 2-up save, so I'm not sure about that decision. So 1 miss and 3 up. So that's 4 2-up saves. He saves all of them. Yeah, like hitting regular Gluttons without Ribcracker up into Annihilators is not that good of a trade, to be honest. The Stormcast player saves everything. Yeah, I think that was a miss from Mikael. He should have just piled them and tried to waste as many Vindictors as he possibly could. Because like every wound that Alexis fails on the Vindictors is 1 dead model. And there the Annihilators killed the Lead Belchers. And didn't deal any damage to the Gluttons. So yeah, that objective is quite securely Alexis now. I'm gonna go out and help them with counting points, so be right back. Okay, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. So it's 8 points to the Stormcast at the moment, and 2 for the Ogre player. The Ogre player loses his finest hour on the Tyrant, and well, I would like, I'm not sure what the Ogre player should do right now, because the Iron Guts won't be able to clear the board as well as I'd hope to. So probably clear up the middle with them by like casting Ribcracker on the Evocators and giving them Blood Feast, hoping for +1 to hit, and just charging through that little gap between the birds there in the center. Have the other Gluttons screen out the middle from that large unit of Vindictors and Annihilators, and just hope that you get a double after this one, so you can clear up the middle and then just slam into the Vindictor block. But I mean, if he leaves that rightmost objective, there's still 10 Vindictors in the sky, so yeah, I don't know. It's the Ogre player is in a tough seat. Oh, the Ogre player picks Conqueror and says the center objective, so he's gonna clear that shit with Iron Guts, I hope. Time for magic. Billowing Ash from the Firebelly. Billowing Ash on an 11. So yeah, Billowing Ash is up. Oh, it's time for the Voracious Maw. Would be interesting if that just annihilated the entire Stormcast unit, but I don't think that would happen. Blood Feast on the Iron Guts. So it doesn't go through. Ribcracker on the Evocators. So a 10. The Stormcast player is gonna attempt to unbind. Nope. Ribcracker goes through on the Evocators. The Ogre player heals this guy from, well, casting spells. So he's full now again. We'll probably use Voracious Maw to clear the Malicious Maw. The Warpal Maw thing of Doom that Ogres can use, and use it on the birds. Yeah, exactly, he's going to use it on the birds, so yeah, that's the correct decision. So on an 8, he said Stormcast is going to attempt to unbind. He managed to unbind it. Yeah, that's sad. Could you imagine just clearing those birds and then getting the charge straight into the Evocators? He's gonna use Flesh Curse on the birds. That's D6 mortal wounds, but he fails to cast it, so yeah, never mind. So Greasy Deluge, that's -1 to hit on the Evocators, but he fails the cast roll. But yeah, it's him getting through both Ribcracker and Billowing Ash are maybe the 2 big ones. The Cauldron. Oh, Spine Marrow, so +1 to hit on the Iron Guts. So those Iron Guts are quite crazy mad right now. I think he's gonna enter movement phase now. He's moving the gluttons to, I believe, screen off the unit over there. And then he's moving the iron guts. I guess he's gonna try and use the gap there on the left side of the bird into the evocators. You have to remember he has a 6-inch pile-in, so we can actually move quite a bit in the movement in the combat phase as well. So decent charge for a lot of mortal wounds, and then a 6-inch charge, 6-inch pile-in into the evocators, and he could actually wipe that unit quite possibly. But as I said, I think those guys are bait actually. Alexis wants him to get it dedicated in the middle so he can just deep strike the Vindictors on his rightmost objective and grab that one. Alexis really having good board control at the moment. What could screw him up now though is a really, really good double turn with the Iron Guts. As I said, I probably wouldn't have taken the double, since you never know what that big unit of Iron Guts will be able to do with a good double turn. Yeah, his shooting phase, it's like ogre pistols and stuff. And Firebelly deals 1 mortal wounds to the birds. So, charge phase. And Iron Guts, he hopes to charge around those birds, I believe. 6 inches charge. So that's basically then 12 inches movement if he plays that safe. Stormcast plays using Unleash Hell on. Wait, what is he doing? He elects to charge the birds. Why is he charging the birds? Maybe he's gambling on a like double, but he still tagged the evocators into combat with that leftmost Iron Gut. That is going to be like a 10 mortal wound sap on the Iron Gut unit without them being able to respond that well. Yeah, I'm not sure what he's doing at the moment. Maybe he's going to try and wipe them on to charge. So 2 mortal, so that's 1 dead bird. But still, I mean, I don't get it, to be honest. Maybe if he gets a double, he can still salvage it, but being able to like charge around them and try and, yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird. I'm gonna go out and help them with. Okay, we're back. He's electing to not be within 3 of the evocators. He's starting out with the gluttons, engaged with the annihilators. Gives them +1 to hit. But I mean, the gluttons won't do anything to the annihilators, so maybe. The Alexis needs some bad rolls for him to be able to deal with that unit though. I would probably want to fight the Vindictors instead, because he won't really deal any damage to the annihilators. 9, so he could fail too, and that's 1 dead annihilator. But I mean, still, it's 1 fail wound. So 2 damage to an annihilator. So if 1 bite goes through now, he managed to kill 1 of them. So 3 saves, 1/1. Yeah, that's a 1, so 1 dead annihilator. But I mean, still, that would have been like, I don't know, a bunch of dead Vindictors with that roll. So yeah, Glutton should definitely go for the Vindictors rather than the annihilators. I think Alexis is gonna elect to fight with the birds next up. What he could do is actually get the birds better into position, so Mikael won't be able to pile around the birds. But yeah, it's probably not gonna make that much of a difference, but still some difference perhaps. So Mikael will be able to pile into the Vindictors, well, not the Vindictors, the Evocators. Who keeps track of all the Stormcast's names anyways. He probably will be able to pile into the Evocators back, but maybe not as efficient as he usually would have been able to. He's piling the Iron Guts into the... Why are you piling the Iron Guts into the birds, man? Go and hit the Evocators. Oh, God. Yeah, he's gambling for a double turn now. Must be. But still, it feels unnecessary. He could have cleared all evocators in his turn and the birds with the gluttons, and then have like another double turn to go and clear off one of the objectives, either like one of Alexis' backline objectives or Just clear out those liberators and get like kill the battle line battle tactic. I mean, the evocators are even rib cracked. Why would he rib crack those if he doesn't want to go into them? And that's a bunch of super dead birds. 9 -1 with damage 3. And that's 6 up save. So that's 2 dead birds. No mortal wounds from the exploding stormcast allegiance. And into the 3 other birds. I mean, Alexis has a good chance now to just deep strike with 3 birds on that lower right objective and just grab it from Mikael. He only has 1 butcher on it, worth 2. The birds are 3 models in total. Yeah, I definitely would have shuffled like the Firebelly or the Tyrant or the Butcher onto the objective as well. 1 Iron Gut is dead from the exploding bird. Ooh, he's gonna grab the Gluttons into combat, but those Gluttons have 6 shins piling now, so it might be a bad idea. Who knows? Yeah, I mean, it's quite a gamble, but he doesn't want to get the double turn from the Gluttons just being able to charge, so I guess it's worth it if they don't just pile in and just wipe those Vindictors off the face of the earth, that is. The Vindictors could use an all-out defense, I believe, to get 2 up save as well, so hopefully that's what he's saved a command point for. Though also, I mean, he's 11 bodies on objective. That's a 6-man unit of Gluttons, so if he managed to get all 6 of them onto the objective, he actually is going to grab that objective back from Alexis. So yeah, I'm not sure if I would have grabbed those Gluttons. Maybe. It looks like it's more than 6 chances for the Glutton to pile into the objective. Also that it's closer to the Evocator stand, the Vindictor. So yeah, he can't actually pile the last Ogre towards that unit. So perhaps it was wise. So the Vindictors wiped all the Ogres off the objective. So 1 hit from the Ogres. So yeah, he doesn't manage to grab Conquer. I mean, he even picked those guys to go in and charge the center objective. I don't get it. So he managed to score 1 objective from his own. So it's 3-8 at the moment with the initiative coming up for turn 3. So roll off. The Stormcast rolls a 5, and the Ogre needs to roll a 6 then in order to get the turn. I believe he also rolled a 5, so Stormcast gets the pick. Yes, so Stormcast takes the turn. The Ogre player also gets to remove an objective. Probably will remove the Liberator objective since he will never be able to get to that one. He's picking the leftmost down. But why? He could just retreat his Ogres onto that one and grab it with bodies. I believe he could have taken that objective though. I mean, he just has to retreat the Ogres onto the objective. And then he has more than the Vindictors. Like, the Liberator objective, he will probably never get to. Since the Evocators will go and pick a fight now with the Iron Guts. He's attempting a rally on the Annihilators. He didn't roll 6, and then in Drasta resurrects one. Or no, that was on the Vindictors. Or is it on the Annihilators? The Ogre player elects to use his 1 use only extra command point in a turn. He's attempting to use Rally on the Iron Guts that lost 1 model. So +1 to wound fails. Mystic Shield goes through. The Ogre is going to attempt to deny it. He needs a 10 to dispel. Yeah, he dispels it. So no Mystic Shield is up. So yeah, Mystic Shield is off. So Ribcracker is still off and no Mystic Shield. That's a really good position then for... Well, maybe not really, since the Evocators gets to strike first. He's gonna use the Heralder to start shaking the pool of blood to deal mortal wounds to all the Ogre characters. The ogre player is considering if he's gonna make a redeploy. Yeah, so the Annihilators is starting to move up. He's using a redeploy for his Tyrant. The Tyrant gets to move 6 inches. Where is he gonna move him though? He's moving him back for some reason. Shooting phase of stormcast, 1 wound with run 1 on the Iron Guts, I believe. And Indrasta draws a spare. So run 2 on the Iron Guts as well, I believe. So 5 damage. That's a dead ogre plus 1 wound. That's quite a mean shooting attack, actually. It's like a cannonball. So basically an entire ogre army takes these 3 mortals. Yeah, so a lot of 3 mortal wounds and 1 on the Slaughtermaster. Mikael really needs to either deal with that Heraldor and start moving away from that terrain piece. Indrasta charges, so 5-inch charge. Yeah, he's gonna bring her into the Iron Guts. The Stormcast player just realized that he forgot to deep strike stuff. Yeah, he was intending to just grab that objective with a bunch of birds, but yeah, he forgot about it. Yeah, so he elects to charge a bunch of evocators onto the objective. So I believe the Stormcast player picked Iron Guts as kill a battle line strategy this turn, so he intends to wipe those guys out. And with Iron Guts gone, I think that's basically GG. It's then only really a matter of how many points they're gonna take in tournament points. The 3 mortal wounds from the Annihilator charge. All out attack on the evocators. All out defense on Iron Guts. So it's -1 hit on Iron Guts now due to the Billowing Ash, as well as +1 save on evocators that doesn't have that amazing rend. So yeah, they might actually tank quite a bit now. You have to remember though that the evocators also had that mortal wound sap, which is basically roll 2 dice per model. On each 4-up, I believe, they deal 1 mortal wound. So it's on average 1 mortal wound per evocator. And Alexis running his unit quite well. He's running the swords in the front and ground staves in the back. So he can fight in 2 ranks with 2 different weapons. So 10 saves with run 1. So that's 4-up save for the Iron Guts with all out defense. Let's see how it does. So 2 damage so far. And the staves, these are damage 2 but no rend. I personally preferred the ground staves in the previous edition, but now though, I don't know. Rend is really, really important. So 3-up. So 10 damage with the staves. Ouch! Yeah, he really failed his save with that one. And now it's time for the Evocator Sap. This should be 10 mortal wounds on average. I see there's 6 Iron Guts left, so that should be around 12 wounds. So he needs to roll slightly above average in order to kill them all. Although, he still have Indrasta still. So, yeah, if I would have been Mikael, I would have picked from the Indrasta stride and maybe they would have survived. And then he could also have removed the Stormcast battle tactic this turn. So, 5 Iron Guts still alive. 3 will strike the Evocators. And 1 into the Lord Imperatant and 1 into Drasta. 2 up to hit due to the Spine Marrow from the previous turn. 2 misses. 6 -2 wounds on the poor Evocators. So 6 up. These guys do 3 damage per fail save. So, ow! So 15 damage. Yeah, so 6 dead Evocators. That's basically half the unit. Also gonna deal a bunch of mortal wounds, I believe. 1 save on, I believe, Indrasta or the Lord Imperatant. So yeah, another Evocator Sap when they explode when they die, I guess. So 15 die. All 6 up will deal mortal wounds. So we should roll like 2 or maybe 3. Oh, 4, so he rolled slightly above average. So that's 1 extra dead ogre. No wounds on Indrasta. And no bite wounds either. Oh no, wait, now it's Indrasta, so 3 attacks. 2 hits and 1 wound. So 3 damage on Indrasta with a 4+ ward save. So 2 wounds on Indrasta. And a bite wound on Indrasta as well. So 3 up save. Yeah, she succeeds her armor save. Time for Vindictors to pile in. Yeah, a bunch of them are gonna hit, so gotta take a huge chunk out of those ogres. And then he can also pile in the Annihilators. So that's 8 Vindictors, 2 attacks per model, 6 are mortal wounds. 3 up, run 1, damage 1. Belonging Ash is up, so -1 to hit, so it's 4 up to hit. So 2 saves, run 1, and 4 mortal wounds. Yeah, so 2 wounds, so 6 damage in total. That's 1 dead ogre and a bunch of wounds. All at defense on the Vindictor, so they also have 2 up save now. But yeah, I still think Mikael could have cleared the Evocators in his previous turn. I don't know why he didn't do it, to be honest. Because, I mean, look, just 5 of the Iron Guts just did more than half the unit in damage to the Evocators. So, yeah, I mean, they were super, super buffed. Like, even if he thought the 6-inch charge was too short, reroll that charge then and hope for the best. Because, I mean, that was his chance to turn the game, I think. So he killed the 3 ogres. I mean, still, 3 stormcast still. So 3 mortals on the ogres. That's 1 dead glutton. Also, an issue for Mikael is that Alexis has stuff to start resurrecting his stormcast. The ogres, once they're dead, they're dead. A lot of the ogre heals, sure, they're quite viable, but still, if you want to play like small ogres and no monsters, the ogre heal is going to be less efficient since stuff will die and not actually take damage. So yeah, it's going to be quite an uphill struggle now for Mikael, and it's more going to be about reducing how much he loses than actually looking for the win now. So that's 2 dead Iron Guts from Indrasta. Mikael is holding on to his command point for a Battle Shock immunity. So yeah, he's most likely going to be able to make the Stormcast player fail his battle tactic. Maybe. Is there Imperatant as well? Yeah, there's an Imperatant there as well. He fails all his saves, so that's 1 more dead Iron Gut. Only 1 Iron Gut still alive. Well, that's enough, I think. Yeah. So he says preemptively spending his command point to make them Battle Shock immune. Yeah, that's the right call. So quarter 3 and the glutton will run. Yeah, so nobody runs, I believe. Yeah, so they're safe. So the ogre's turn. They both score 1. So 11 points in total for the Stormcast player at the moment. And 3 to the ogres. Ogre's turn, and he's gonna pick a battle tactic. The ogre player is picking Slay the Warlord. So I believe that's the Lord Imperatant or Knight Heraldor. The Stormcast player is gonna do a rally on his Evocators. 1 Evocator is rallied. Heroic Recovery on, I believe... yeah, he fails anyways. Indrasta does the same. She heals 2 wounds. I wonder if he's gonna rally his Iron Guts. I mean, it's 11 die. That should roll like 1 or 2 6s at least, with a lot of potential for more. So more on the Evocators, 2 mortal wounds. It continues on 4 up. It continues, D3 more. 2 more mortal wounds. Does it continue? No. So 4 mortal wounds on a mortal war. Yeah, you have to remember Alexis still has 10 Vindictors and some birds in Deep Strike, so even if his army is taking quite a few punches, he's still in a quite good shape. Where the Ogre player lost a lot of his resources. So Bloodfeast on the Tyrant fails. And he's gone for Slay the Warlord, so I guess the Tyrant is the one to do it. So he's trying to get all the possible buffs he can get on him. He's doing Ripcracker on Indrasta. I would probably use Ripcracker on his Warlord if he intends on killing him. Yeah, he's doing Ripcracker on the Warlord. He fails Ripcracker. Greasy Deluge on the Warlord. He fails the roll. Man, he's really not rolled good spells this turn. He's gonna attempt to make the Tyrant into a monster for the Metamorphism. That's a spell from the Battle Pack. And what it does for Ogres is that when he does his Ogre Charge, he counts as a monster, which means that he will deal mortal wounds on 4-up instead of on 6s. Yeah, Alexis managed to dispel it. Would have been cool though. Now he's gonna move his Tyrant up. Yeah, I probably would have rallied his Iron Guts. Or are there any Iron Guts still alive? Yeah, it looks like a base there next to the Warlord. Because I mean, that would have been 11 die and just see if you could get back a few. Like, it would have been a done deal if you had got back, like, say, 3 or 4 Iron Guts and just swarmed the Warlord. Shooting? And I would have moved away from that terrain piece, because now the Heraldor will be able to deal D3 mortal wounds to, like, all 3 characters. He misses with his Iron Belly attack. I mean, Fire Belly attack. And he shoots at the Evocators. 3 wounds from the pistol on the Evocators. Charges Tyrant. He uses his command point to reroll the charge. He rolled it to deal more damage, I believe. He doesn't want to engage the Heraldor or the Evocators, which makes sense. So 8 die now, 6 deals mortal wound with the Ogre Charge. Ah, 2 mortals. Remember that Alexis Warlord has a 5-up negate from the Amulet of Destiny, which seems like one of the standard relics to pick nowadays. It's the new Ethereal Amulet, basically. Ignax Scales. Griff Feather Charm. We had plenty of those staples throughout the years, I guess. So he's gonna start with his Beast Skewer Blade. I'm just gonna go and correct that thing on there. Correction, he hit with the Thunder Mace first, not the Glaive. So 4 damage in total on his Warlord. He has 7 wounds in total, so 3 wounds now he needs. So the Beast Skewer Glaive. 6s deal extra damage to monsters and heroes. So he once with D6 damage and 1 with D3. Snake Eyes. So no damage at all. Yeah, so the bite is not going to be enough to do anything. Yeah, so bite managed to score. Yeah, he fails. Well, he still has an Iron Gut there, so if the Iron Gut survives, he could still kill the Warlord. But I'm almost gonna be able to bet that Indrasta will be able to kill that Iron Gut before he gets to hit. Yeah, he's piling away from the Iron Gut. Oh, he's gonna activate the Lord Imperatant and hit the Iron Gut. Let's see now. 3 hits. 2 saves. Run 1. 5-up. He saves both of them. Man, I would have hit with Indrasta first and tried to kill the Iron Gut. 3 saves. From the doggo. 4-up. He saves all of them. So he picks Iron Gut and he's gonna pick the Lord Imperatant. So all of them hits. And so 1 goes through. So damage 3. 5-up negate. Yeah, he dies on the wound, so yeah, mistakes were made. Poor Alexis. Yeah, I don't know. I would have picked Undrasta to try and kill off the Iron Gut. But yeah, he should have probably been able to kill it with that guy as well. Yeah, so no mortal wounds from the explosion. Yeah, that was quite important for the ogres. He scores Slay the Warlord. So I believe this is 7 Vindictors hitting the Gluttons. 3 mortal wounds from the Vindictors. And 5 saves. Yeah, that's the entire Glutton unit gone. But yeah, the real mistake I think Alexis did this turn was having... I would have picked Indrasta to fight first. She hits harder than the Lord Imperator, I think. Indrasta is gonna pile and hit the Tyrant. So 3 Rend 2 on the Tyrant. So 5 upside now. Yeah, so damage 3 each. He just murders the Tyrant. So 16 points in total for the Ogres. He succeeded with Slay the Warlord this turn. So initiative for turn 4. The Ogres wins the initiative actually. He's using a rally on the Evocators again. Yeah, he probably should use a heroic ability, I believe, first, but... Or maybe this is also at the beginning of the turn. Yeah, I'm a bit unsure when you rally, to be honest. Billowing Ash. He scores it on an 11. I wonder what battle tactic he shows. I need to go at it. So the Ogre player picked Broken Ranks, which means he needs to kill a battle line. So Red Grapper on Indrasta. Rolls an 8. The Stormcast player dispels it. Yeah, Gracie Delusion on Indrasta. He's gonna attempt to make his Butcher into a monster. It goes through, so he's a monster. I am not sure, but he is a monster. Maybe he's gonna try a Mortal Wound charge on Indrasta. But she has 8 wounds left with the 4 up negate, so it's gonna be a real hard one to be able to kill her. And he needs to kill Battle Line for his battle tactic, so... The Stormcast player is gonna use Redeploy on his Evocators. Ooh, sneaky. So now he's gonna go in and grab that objective from that guy, denying Mikael of his last objective. So Fire Belly shooting, no mortal wounds. Charge phase, Fire Belly into Indrasta. 5. This is the monster charge, by the way. He probably wants to reroll that one, it sounds like. And just to reiterate, it's the Ogre charge on a 4-up. They deal mortal wounds if they're a monster or more than 10 models. And since he's a monster, he will be able to charge. He will be able to charge and deal more mortal wounds than he would have if he wasn't a monster. Yeah, he elects to reroll his charge. Come on! So 6 chances, 1 more. I thought he was gonna try and kill Battle Line this turn though. Though, since it's turn 4 now, and Alexis elected to leave his 10 unit of Vindictors in the sky and his birds, aren't they destroyed by now though? I think they might be. I'm just gonna go and grab my General's Handbook. Okay, just to clarify then, the Ogre player decided to be kind to Stormcast player and said that he could deploy his models that would otherwise have been destroyed. I declared that they get to just get placed down outside the objective, and the bird gets to deploy in his own deployment zone. Which sounded fair. I mean, people are still a bit unused to this new edition, so you can be a bit kinder than you usually would be on a tournament. Yeah, so 4-up negate on Indrasta. That's... So 9 damage from the Iron Gut on Indrasta so far before negates. So 2 wounds left on Indrasta. Bites, 2 bites, and she saves both of them. He also used the monster ability on the fire ability, so she's not able to use command abilities. So no all-out defense and no all-out attack, etc. But yeah, just to clarify what just happened. Stuff that aren't on the board at the start of the 4th battle round are considered destroyed. No, wait, that's not a firebelly, that's a butcher. So 3 up, 3 up. So no wounds from the cleaver and no wounds from the bites. Huh. And 3 saves, run 1 on the butcher. 5 up. He managed to all his 5 up saves. Well. So lucky ogre saves the past 2 turns. So they currently are both trying to take the mid objective, but both have 4 objectives on, so the stormcast player remains in control of the objective. So Stormcast turn, he's trying to receive a command point by a heroic ability for Indrasta, I believe. Ogre tries the same, he fails. And he's gonna pick a battle tactic. He's gonna pick Slay the Warlord and rally on the Evocators. 6 die, so 1 Evocator should be back. 2 Evocators. But yeah, this is probably the last turn for the Ogres before the Stormcast wipe them. And Indrasta brings back a bunch of models. 1 Vindictor, 1 Annihilator, and 1 Evocator. Yeah, Indrasta is such a good model in an army like this where your army stack and stuff becomes super tanky. You can just return models and over and over and over until your army is basically back. So Arcane Bolt on the Heraldor. Goes through on a 5. He's attempting to deny with the Butcher. He fails at denying it, so he doesn't get to heal from denying a spell then. And then these 3 mortals, and that's a dead Butcher. +1 to wound on the Evocators. Yeah, so the Evocators have +1 to wound. Yeah, he's gonna grab that entire objective now, just make it impossible for the Ogre player to grab it back. But yeah, yeah, the Ogres will probably be wiped after this turn. So the Slaughtermaster elects to make a redeploy to attempt to not get Slay the Warlord, or well, give it away this turn. That looks like a 5-inch charge, maybe. 4 or 5-inch charge for the Vindictors and Evocators. That's Annihilators moving up, back to full strength from being only 1 model left. The Vindictors will do a run move for 5 inches extra. So it should be a 10-inch move. Yeah, definitely full fireplay points for the Ogre player to allowing the Stormcast to deploy all his models. So charges now. Annihilators. 8 inches, so that's on average 4 mortal wounds. Did he use the Heraldor to deal mortal wounds? I think he missed that one this turn. It's important to kill the Firebelly as Bellowing Ash is still up. That's the -1 hit aura thingy. Yeah, so that's a dead Firebelly. No more Bellowing Ash. And Evocators. 8 inches. Yeah, they should be in. Like, that's a quite damaged Slaughtermaster, so it's like borderline that he would be able to just kill them with the Evocators. On the zap, even. Charging with the Vindictors. Didn't he run those? Yeah, maybe I misunderstood. No, wait, the Heraldor has some run and charge, retreat and charge shenanigans, so yeah, that makes sense. So he's going to elect the Evocators to hit first. So 4 ground staves, and it looks like 3 regular swords, or whatever they're called. So hitting on 3s. Wounding on 2s due to Celestial Blades. So 5 wounds in total. No rend. 4 goes through. That's 8 damage in total. So yeah, that's Slay the Warlord for the Stormcast. The last Iron Guts will go for Indrasta. Yeah, that's a guy Iron Gut boss though, so it's 4 attacks. So it's potentially like 12 damage. 2 hits. Snake Eyes. Yeah, so quite unlucky. The bite wounds and he saves. So 6 damage. That's the Ogre's wiped. And I think we're gonna conclude the game there. It's most likely gonna be like a 17-3 or a 18-2 for the Stormcast. So thank you all for watching, and we'll be back until the next turn. So, well, next game that is. So game 2 should be hitting somewhere along the lines of in 2 or 3 weeks. See you then.